Call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go over the meetings of the minutes of the last meeting. We have,
Make a motion to approve.
I got a motion on the floor and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Claims list. Does everybody have a chance to look at that? We got a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed. Well, I think everybody knows who everybody is in this room. So we'll go, you guys are next.
All right. In case you don't know, I am Renee Tinsel. I've been here before to present at these meetings for community health and our ambulance service that you guys so graciously help us fund. I do have, I'm going to keep that to myself, a little presentation on community health. Did you bring the ambulance?
You should be in the company.
No. Uh-oh. He's going to wing it. Good thing. I also have the contracts from the state, because it is a three-way contract between Walworth Regional Hospital, the county, and the state. So they need to be signed for this next year after the budget is approved.
Put some dates file over there.
So I will go over community health first, just through the presentation, some of the services that the community health office offers for Walworth County, and we also service Campbell County as well, and Carson County. Women, infants, and children's nutrition services, that's WIC. We administer the vouchers through the state once they apply for WIC. Maternal child health services, this is immunizations, family planning, car seats, pack and plays, school nursing services, foot care, and health occupations for today and tomorrow. That's a program, we call it HOT. It's to get high school students involved in learning what healthcare careers they have available to them. Because we are very short, always it seems like, in getting those professionals in this area. The WIC economic impact, we do have 130 clients in Walworth County. We issue roughly $116,000 worth of vouchers that are available to be used at the grocery stores throughout Walworth and any county basically in the state of South Dakota. So basically those vouchers are used to provide healthy foods and education on healthy eating. It's provided to children birth to 5 years of age, pregnant women, and women postpartum up to from 6 months to a year. And they do have to qualify for the program. Immunizations, 607 doses given from January to December of 15. South Dakota Immunization Information System. This is a statewide immunization record that Community Health Office participates in. Basically, you have to. So if any one of you showed up at any facility in South Dakota, they could pull up your immunization record because everybody's required to be using it now. I won't read verbatim all of this stuff, but flu shots at Mobridge, Pollock, Selby, and Harriet schools. Car seats, again, we don't provide the education on installing a car seat, we provide the car seats. We used to do the education, but we did stop doing that now. So. Baby care program, people that deliver at the hospital, they can come in and do some postpartum visits if they want to with the community health nurse. pack and plays, we do issue those. Again, it's income qualifying. That program, that we've seen less and less of the pack and plays being given out. I'm not exactly sure why. Read Out and Read. This is a program used to increase literacy in our young kids, get them started early, and then oral hygiene. School nursing services, dental hygiene, puberty education, vision, hearing. We do contract with the Mulberry schools, and we just signed a contract with the Selby schools, and we were really excited to get in with Selby as well. Family planning, we've seen this drop a lot. Currently we have 25 clients. Our insurance carriers are getting better about providing family planning, so it is free through community health based on your income, but most people find it cheaper to just go through their health insurance to get the family plans now. And again, blood pressure checks, foot care. We come to Selby once a month, and Millbridge, it seems like they have somebody in there every day to cut toenails or that kind of stuff. And then the health occupations for today and tomorrow, the HOT program. And in conclusion, we definitely thank you guys for your support. We couldn't do it without you. We do employ one secretary and one full-time nurse to provide these services, so you know how expensive it is to run everything. The next page is the funding levels that you've been so gracious to give us. We were flat with funding from 2009 to 2012. In 2013 and 14 was a little catch-up period, which was great. We were offered 5%, and 15 and 16 we were offered 3%. So I asked again for 3% just to keep up with the cost of living. And then the next two pages are just, these were printed off of the website, just for fun, to look at how many participants there are. The retailers on the first page, again, 130 WIC clients in Walworth County, Campbell County, and we do service Carson County as well. That's why Carson County is so low. And then the next page is even more interesting. This is the funding source, $116,000 in Walworth County. But just to compare the cost per client in Walworth County compared to Minnehaha County, per client, you can do the math yourself, but we run extremely efficient compared to those larger counties. So that's what I have on community health, and Chuck's gonna lead the ambulance presentation.
Sure. Okay, my name's Chuck Hanson, if you don't, for most of you know me, I work on the ambulance service, ambulance supervisor there. And school background, on 2014, we had a very busy year. We had 797 calls. 2015, we had 933 calls. It's a 17% increase. We average about a third of those calls are transfers to either, most of them go to Bismarck, but some of them go to Aberdeen, some to Sioux Falls, and quite a few Sioux Falls in the last year. Those, like a Sioux Falls run is about an 11-hour turnaround. If it's Aberdeen, or about a 4-hour turnaround, Bismarck's about a 5-hour turnaround. So when those transfers are being done, we have to have other people to back up, because we cannot leave the county or the Millbridge area without a 911 service. So we can't take a transfer unless we have another crew to respond to 911 calls. So that tells you how many people we have to have. Last year at this time we had 4 full-time medics on board. Last fall we were getting burnt out. They were running ragged. We had so many calls, so we increased that. We have 8 full-time paramedics on staff, 2 PRN paramedics. They don't do very many shifts, but we do have them in backup once they rate well. We have 3 RNs that run with us. I'm an advanced EMT. I'm a full-time employee, so we do have 9 full-time employees, and then 3 other advanced that help out, 5 EMTs and 3 EVOC drivers. With that many calls and that many runs, you know, we put a lot of miles on us. We have a lot of expenses in vehicle maintenance, finishing our supplies and vehicles. It just takes a lot of funding to keep that going 24 hours a day. Again, like I say, we can't really transfer this. We have a backup crew to stay on call. That includes, we do 4-H, education, we do CPR classes, we do EMT classes, rodeo, football standbys. When those things are going on, we have to have another crew that's ready to go because we cannot pull those crews from those events. So it takes a lot of people. If you or anyone you know ever had to have an ambulance, you know how important that is. It's something you don't want to be without. So that's pretty much the gist of it. I can send the copy of information like Renee has over to you if you guys want to distribute it at the next meeting. This is pretty much the basics of it, and we appreciate any funding you can give us.
I'll add just a little bit to Chuck's presentation. Most recently, Selby's ambulance service was able to purchase a new ambulance, and that's great. And we were able to purchase Selby's ambulance from their service. That helps us out tremendously. So if there's any way that you have any say in who gets first pick of that ambulance, like when Selby replaces again, if that could go first chance to us, we will always take your ambulances because they're in great shape. You know.
I happen to run into once in a while too.
Yeah, I don't know. Just keep us in mind.
I would think if I could. Think.
When you go on these calls, do you get reimbursed from the insurance companies?
We do, we bill. Again, we have a lot of Medicaid, IHS, Medicare, and for example, I'll just give you a quick example. On a ALS transfer, which is Advanced Life Support Transfer to Bismarck, I just looked at one bill here, about a month ago, and that bill was for $4,600. Our Medicaid reimbursement was $494. Well, it's the fuel and a little bit of wear and tear. So we don't always get paid.
Right, there's two sides to the billing. One is the ALS run, and then we can go for mileage. So depending upon how far it went, but you went to Bismarck?
Yeah.
So South Dakota Medicaid pays us a flat rate for the ALS run, and they pay us a per mileage rate. I wanna say Medicare is very close to the same. It's like $283 for the ALS run, and the federal mileage rate is like 54 cents per mile this year, and I wanna say they pay 20. There's no reason why the state shouldn't keep up with the federal mileage rate, but they don't. But nobody can afford it.
So then where does the other money come from? I mean,
We write it off.
yeah, but still, if you have 10 of those, it's easy to figure.
Yeah, that's why insurance premiums are something.
Mhm.
What is your budget, annual budget?
For the ambulance, all I do, the only part of the budgeting I do is our equipment and tell them how many employees we have, and then the human resources does the budgeting for the employees. And
I do, off the top of my head, I don't know what the total ambulance budget is individually. Our salary budget, like Chuck had mentioned, going from four full-time FTEs to 9, it doubled.
So what is your source of revenue?
The runs.
insurance, and we go by whatever insurance pays. and then whatever we get from like the county here, and, there's not a lot of, we don't, qualify for a lot of, government grants because we're hospital-based. Like Selby Ambulance, we've applied for grants and received some because we're an individual entity, because we're a nonprofit. But if you're associated with a hospital, a lot of those grants we don't apply to. Like we can't apply for a federal fire, like fire department, fire trucks, they want to buy fire trucks. And Selby has got an ambulance several years ago, they got some funding for about half of an ambulance. But being the hospital, we're hospital-based, we can't apply for those grants.
What's your budget?
My budget as a community health budget, it's less than $50,000 a year.
Well, you spend, just on WIC, you spend,
Well, but that
It's a
program
federal
is,
program?
it's funded by the state as well. Those vouchers come from the state. We just administer the program through the state. The vouchers come to us, we have to make sure the people qualify, and then we distribute them. And it's a monthly process. They get their vouchers on a monthly basis. So that money, that WIC money comes directly from the state.
I think it's one other thing I should bring up. Woolwich is the only ambulance service in our area that has full-time paramedics. And so if there's anything that like a cardiac arrest, traumatic accident, which we've had over more than our share lately, Selby, Mound City area, McIntosh, Walking, not Walking as much, but Timber Lake, we will respond to do an intercept for them. And I can't tell you how important that is to be able to have that paramedic.
when you respond
expertise.
to another county, then do you bill that other county?
What happens is, I'll just give you an example because I'm familiar with Selby's. If Selby calls for an intercept from Woolwich, we build a higher rate because of it was an ALS call. Selby then has to pay Woolwich. Selby doesn't really get anything out of that call, even though we drive it and we take care of that patient. Everything pretty much goes to Woolwich does a very good job. They have a set rate. They'll give us they charge a certain dollar amount for an intercept, no matter what they do. So it's about $960 if I remember correctly. So Selby would bill the insurance company for that, and then we'd have to reimburse Woolwich for that. So they don't get double billed. The insurance company or people do not get double billed. It's just we have to share the money from that. But it's so vital to have that expertise and that knowledge, and that they can do more things than we can do. It's pretty amazing to watch it.
No, Mobridge Ambulance Service is hospital-based.
Correct.
What is Selby?
We are a individual entity, nonprofit. We have to pay our own insurance, we pay our own vehicles, we buy all their equipment, we're funded by our insurance money and what we get from the county. And then the city does give us, pay for our fuel with the truck. So we pay our own liability insurance, our own workers' comp insurance, all that is done. It was with the county at one time, but the county didn't want to have that liability, so we formed a nonprofit organization, or a corporation.
Okay. Well, we'll just discuss this at the budget time, right? Is that what
This is for next year's funding. right?
Yep,
So-
yep.
when we go over the budget book.
Yep, but I do have these contracts that I need you to sign. This is for last year's funding. There's 3 of them. They're all the same. Basically, there's a dollar amount stated in here for the funding that was already received by the hospital. The community health funding was $36,000, I believe, last year's funding. And then Angie the administrator at the hospital also drew up just an ambulance service agreement, and this is again last year's. And the ambulance funding that you provided was $14,750, and that's also on here as well. So I'll pass these down for signature.
Okay, I'll need a motion to do this.
That's all.
I got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second.
Second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed.
Thank you guys very much.
Then we'll just put it on
Thank you.
the budget deal for this coming year, because we're gonna start them on Monday, so. So, I'm sure we'll prove something, it's just the rate
Yep.
of where we're gonna be at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the service.
You're welcome.
Scott, I'll come around, because I was looking at it and I'm like,
I'll walk straight there.
I think just right here, maybe do this one so you don't. All four of those need to be signed. And I'll initial those amounts just because Andy had it wrong. And you'll sign that, I'll send it back to you, just so you have it on file. And these three will go to the state for their signature and they'll send you one. Awesome, all right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hopefully you don't have a all-day meeting.
Me
It's
too.
cool in here, though.
Yeah, you're right.
We can drag it out.
Oh. Yeah, better take that, I wouldn't get far without my
Okay,
keys.
we'll go to number 7.
Thank you.
Yeah, she called me and told me the quotes she received. She called Thompson's Truck and Autos for the transmission repair. They quoted her 2,100. Lowry was 1,600. And Selby Auto won't do it. They suggested Aberdeen Transmission and they quoted her $850. But she requested they give it to her in writing and she hasn't received it. I know Lowry, she had mentioned that would come with a 1 year, 12,000 mile warranty.
Looks like that's the way they should go.
I think we should put this in the weed board's hand when it first come, man. That's their job, isn't it?
Oh, no, I guess I- Who's would it be? Jamie?
My
Usually
mo-
the board would, the weed board would take care of all of that stuff, and then if it needs to be approved by you, then they would come and say, we're asking for approval, this is the choice we made, and go from there.
Well, that's all we're gonna do, then just tell Shannon to take it to a weed board then.
Because how often do they meet?
4 times a year, I think. And we met
Not very often.
a couple months ago, it seemed like.
Yeah.
I know they talked about having another meeting soon. And then I talked to Ernie. I haven't heard anything since then.
Oh, we'll just tell Shannon to take it to the weed board.
Does the weed board pay the bills?
I imagine it comes out of her budget.
Which comes out of the county budget.
Yeah, we pay the bills.
So therefore, we have some
Final say.
responsibility, we have some responsibility as to how that is funded expenses. The funds are
We're gonna
responsible.
ultimately pay for it in the long run.
Yeah, the county's gonna pay for it, but
Have you been involved in
it would be in her budget and
But I mean, it'd be just the way wait for another meeting then.
Normally you have the boards just to alleviate your job. Is, when you have those boards, they make recommendations to you and then you just keep going on that based upon their recommendations. So you don't have to do all of the groundwork and do everything when you appoint these boards.
We'll just tell Shannon to have her weed board do it.
Are you gonna request that they bring it to you when they make a decision?
Well, then if that would be the case, then we could just do it right now then.
So what I'm saying is, if we're gonna be the ultimate ones that make the decision anyway, we might as well just make the decision now. And if we gotta wait for all these boards, it's gonna be snowing and we don't need transmission anyway.
I mean, do you wanna pay for them to have another special meeting to get this approved? I mean, that wouldn't make much sense.
Then why have the board?
I know we did.
If we're gonna handle everything, why bother?
Yeah, but I think a transmission or something like that don't go out all the time, so I mean, what are we gonna do, have them put another meeting together for that?
I don't know when their next meeting, because they said that.
That's the dilemma that you run into.
If we gotta wait 2 months for them to get another.
It's in her budget anyway, to repair for $800 or $2,000 or whatever, when they decide.
Because realistically, if it's in her budget and she has money set aside for it, she should just go do it. And let you know what she's doing. Is realistically, you don't need to approve anything. If it's a budgetized item and it comes out of her budget and she's not going over budget, basically she should,
Just go get it fixed.
yep, just like when, you know, Penny has a piece of equipment and it's in her budget that's, you know, a breakdown or whatever, she goes and does it, she lets you know this is what we did, so when a big check comes through for $10,000 for a axle or something like that, then you ask the question, kind of the same things. Realistically, she's going overboard on what she needs to do. She should just do it and let you guys know. Say, this is why I did it, and answer the questions and go from there. It's kind of,
Okay, we'll just tell Shannon to, the board can make that decision. Burn ban.
I think we should put the burn ban on. It's getting pretty dry out there. A lot of other counties are going to the burn ban. And as a fireman myself, I think it'd be a good idea to put the burn ban on.
What's the rest think?
I don't know if it does any good, but we just will have it on in my mind.
The only thing it changes is the liability of who starts it.
Other than, I'm in violation of law every time I light my grill. But,
Not on your grill.
oh yes,
On a
open
gra-
flame,
on a
oh yeah.
gas grill?
Oh, and my charcoal, open flame, yeah, but Jamie hasn't come down and filed papers on me yet.
as dry as it is, I would recommend that you guys put it on. Just
Make a
to,
motion, Kevin.
I'll make a motion to put burn ban on.
Okay, you got a motion on the floor, I need a second. Got a second, any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. I oppose. Benny?
Good morning.
I don't have any more, you should have all got my June budget balance sheets. Any questions on those?
I never got that penny, but
Why not? I emailed it to you and said it went.
I didn't get it on the email.
Really?
Yours was the only one I got.
I sent that last week already. You guys had a whole week to look at it. Did your email address change?
That's all right.
I've got my copy if you want it.
That's fine.
Well, I'll email it to you again. I don't know what happened.
Is there anything we should note on that report?
No? I don't think so.
do you have any problems with overweight or anything like that so far?
balances with Becky, so. The only thing I wanna talk about is, our crushing, our chips up north.
Still doing it, aren't they?
I got a sample report yesterday with a little sticky note attached to it. It said Dellin measured the pile 7/20/2016 AM prior to startup, and they're at 14,343 ton. And the reason they're measuring the pile is because they're scaling out. And Mr. Dellin was wondering if you would consider taking his measurements as a total amount crushed.
What choice do we have?
Well, we can say no and make him hire an engineer.
That'd be my suggestion, get a GPS measurement of the pile.
Yeah. I didn't know we'd gonna have to load it under a truck and run it in the Selby.
Yeah. It's looking like they're doing about 2,000 ton a day. With 14,000 yesterday,
Half done now.
16, 18, they should be done. End of this week, beginning of next week, but then they have reclamation that they have to do yet too. So I'm not looking at them being out of there until towards the end of next week. Beginning of maybe the following week.
And this was contracted to be done by when?
July 1st.
You have that issue coming. So there's cost penalties per day, right, Penny?
$200.
Good, what'd you say, 30,000 yards, is that what you were doing, or
20,000 ton.
20,000?
Did you take a sample yourself?
Mhm. Yeah, we didn't run up here. Actually, Ryan used to do that, so we went out and walked around the pile and took samples, and I've got a shaker set and ran through the screens. And
It was in, good,
Yeah.
good.
so that saved me time and money. But, that was a question he asked me.
I would have to agree with Brian, I think we should GPS measure or however they do that.
Yeah, they GPS it from top to bottom and then around, and they use cones, and it's quite a process, but
Where does somebody gotta come from to do that?
Goldsmith could do it. It just makes sense to me to have a third party do it.
me too.
I
Especially
can't
with
believe
their
they
scale
wouldn't
being
fix their
low.
scale.
Yeah. Well, when he stopped in the shop, he had the scale in his vehicle, the part. But they've been crushing, they started crushing, the scale broke, they continued to crush, the scale part came in, and he didn't know how much they had crushed from breakdown to repair the scale. So he asked me if he'd be willing to accept his guesstimation of tonnage.
I would say, third party do it.
Okay, I'll get ahold of somebody.
Alrighty. Anything else, Kenny?
Not really, we're chipping, that's going hot. Going good. That's about it.
Got quite a bit left to chip? or-
No, we should be finishing up this week. If all the trucks get there when they're supposed to. We should be able to finish up,
Today?
hopefully.
Is it better to do it when it's this hot and it'd be a little cooler, or does that make
It,
any difference?
with the emulsified, that's why everybody's been coming in at 6:30, so we can get going by 7. And, it's cooler in the mornings, and the emulsified works better it's easier to work with when it's cooler. It doesn't work better or work less temperature wise. It's just easier to work with the product when it's cooler. When it gets hot, you just go a little slower. So
Mhm.
that's the way that works. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thanks, Penny.
You're welcome. Everybody stay cool.
Scott, please. I printed you out for copy there, Scott, since I know your email hasn't been working, but did everybody else get it in the email? Yesterday, I sent it out yesterday, it was a little late, but it just got it done when I had time, and that happened to be yesterday, so. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me now or later after you get a chance to look over a little bit better.
What are we doing with Standing Rock? I see they haven't been paying.
They-
still got 80,000 outstanding.
They did pay, they did give me a check for $20,000 at the beginning of the month, and that's kinda what we had in place for their original plan, so if they're willing to stick with that, I'm fine with that, cause we'll get them caught up eventually. But as soon as they miss a payment, they're getting cut off. I mean, that's the way it's gotta be, we gotta be hard about it, just.
Ryan and I kinda talked about that a little bit, and basically it was like, if they're continuing to shrink the amount of money that they owe, that's the best for us. They cannot increase anything. Once they increase, then we're to the point of cutting them off. Cause there's always the fear that if they run into financial problems, we may lose that, so it's kind of, we're over a barrel a little bit too, but as long as they're shrinking their, cause what did you figure, Ryan, about $5,000 a month?
Yeah, toward their careers.
And get them caught up, but if they miss a payment, then we're gonna cut them off and
It's
put them
gotta be
on.
that way. And they're out, they shredded some mattresses and furniture for me for some volume reduction, so that bill will be coming through here pretty soon, so they'll at least have that. It's too bad that we couldn't just trade that for past due, it just doesn't work that way, but. You know.
Well, one thing we could ask them though is, you know, that's a bill that we pay. If we pay that bill and then they can come in and sign it back over to us and we apply it against their debt. That's something you could ask them
Yeah,
to do.
that's something that, I mean.
Cause
we
how
could
much of
sure
a bill
ask
is that, Ryan, that they'll be sending?
I'm anticipating in the neighborhood of $4,000 to $5,000, so we'll see what happens.
Is that something you wanna suggest? Is that
Either
true?
that or they should,
Yeah.
whatever that bill is, whatever we.
Cause we can't just do trade work. I mean, we have to pay it, but maybe if we say, you know, we have to pay you, but you have an outstanding debt with us, we're suggesting that you come in and sign that back over and we apply it against the debt once we issue the check, which we can do, right, Becky? As long as we make the payment and then they can pay it back to us and apply it, but we have to have that paper trail.
Yeah, absolutely, I think we should do that.
I'll suggest that. See what happens here. But no, that's where we're at with that. If they fail to make their payment, they're cut off, they're out of second chances now, so.
Do you have trouble with some of them other ones?
Uh,
I see some of them
Not really, I mean, Ryer has always kind of been
are always been 2
a little
months.
bit, but yeah. If you put the fire to him, he'll catch it back up, but I'm not too concerned with him running, 45, 50 days or whatever he runs, cause I know I'm gonna get a check from him, or at least I have been the last couple of years here since we got tough with him, so.
Anybody else have any questions about that?
Like always, if you do, feel free to call me, email me, bring it up at the next meeting, whatever you prefer.
There's one question I had, and Mulberry Tribune for $1,600.
That was for, I think, let me look at my detail expense here, but I think that was all for cleanup days, advertising, and then
Oh,
I put that insert in the reminder for the recycling trailers, which was fairly expensive. I think that was like, with the printing and everything, I think that was $500-600, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't remember it offhand. It's been a while since I saw the voucher, but
I just seen that, I just wondered if,
let's see. Yeah, the printing for it, for that recycling insert was $346. That was just for the printing, and then for the actual insert itself, for putting it into the paper, was another $250 about. And the rest of it was just cleanup days advertising that we do every year, you know, I put it in the paper for about 3 weeks, the week of, and then a couple weeks before, paper and reminder, just to get the word out to the public. Yep, so that's what all that stuff was. Any other questions about that? Okay. Well, we'll move on to the next item then. I am going to request, that you allow me to hire an additional part-time seasonal employee. Just with the recycling trailers and trying to get caught up this summer, it's just been really tough. You know, I'm not out there to help as much as I have been in past summers, so it's been really tough on me and the guys, and we're just kind of spinning our wheels right now, and I would like to request it. You know, it's about, if you give me another 600 hours at $10.50 an hour, that's $6,300 out of the budget plus payroll tax. The budget can handle it, I'm confident in that. I think we spent about, as of the end of June, I think we were at like 48% of the salary budget expended, so, you know, we're a little ahead of the game there. So I think the budget can handle it, plus there's some other line items that we haven't been spending as much out of that could absorb that if need be, so. This is just me requesting authorization to hire somebody from the pool of applicants that I had last time, and then we can approve the wage at the next commission meeting, if you so.
I'll make a motion to accept the authorization.
I got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Got a second. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
I'll get that person hired, and like I said, I'll bring the name and everything, we'll formalize it at the next meeting. Okay. Jim and I kinda talked about this after the last meeting, and I know that there's been a request from some of the department heads as well to kinda get an idea about what we want to do for salary increases on the next budget. So that's a discussion that we'd like to have. I know that our CPI is at 0 for the year. I don't know, did we ever figure what growth was? Get an estimate?
0.065.
0.0, so basically nothing, basically no growth whatsoever, so our funding is gonna be pretty much the same as it was last year. Our tax revenue is gonna be pretty much the same as it was last year. So, and I knew that CPI was at 0, so that's kinda why I put into my budget 3%. I think there's a lot of department heads that did the same, just because we know that, and I think a lot of us are comfortable with it. I think some are probably doing something a little different. I know, Josh, I think you had different ideas, but we should probably have that discussion here and just kinda standardize it for Monday when we're going through the budgets, you know, or figure out what we wanna do at least, so. I don't know if anybody else has any input or not, but.
My opinion is, I think it's gonna do a lot with what we're gonna do with the insurance part of it.
That's gonna come into play, yes, but.
Between 0 CPI and what we're gonna do with the insurance.
Unfortunately, we won't know the answer to that until October sometime, which is kinda too late to do much
Well, weren't they
with the
estimating
budgets.
about 17-18% though?
They were estimating 18, but he was gonna try and get it to us before October.
Okay. So it's sort of a little bit.
Next month, I thought he was gonna try to,
Yeah, we'll have to have the provisional budget done next month.
No, they don't need
But
insurance.
it can be changed up until October 1st.
right,
But don't you think we should plan on that 18%?
At least.
I did 27 on mine.
Usually we do at
For
least 20.
insurance?
You know, last year we were able to basically, I think it was close to the same, wasn't it? But we also had to decrease the coverage, so depends on how far you wanna go with that, so. The coverage wasn't decreased much, but there was some little adjustments that were made that that kept it at a pretty reasonable rate, and I don't know if we'll be able to do the same thing this year or not.
But when are we really planning on what we're gonna do with the insurance, how we're gonna handle it, what we're gonna go with?
See, when they said 17 or 18%, they were talking about the age-based plans too, which we're not on. We're on the grandmother plan like he was talking about, and that rate increase is gonna be based off of our utilization as a group. I think they take that against the whole state is what he was kinda saying, so, as a group, so that might be more or it might be less, it's hard to say.
Yes, Deb?
I just, my personal opinion, and I know that's not a popular one, is that when CPI is zero and growth is nearly zero, and we know that insurance is gonna go up, personally, I would rather leave the insurance the way it is, have no raise. And, I mean, if you can't ask for more money, you can't ask for more money. And at some point, you have to believe that an increase in your insurance premium to what it costs the county is actually a raise. That's my opinion.
You're very right, though.
You know, last year when we discussed salaries and budgets, I had kind of made the suggestion that a couple of years at that 5% rate would get us more in line with what the statewide average is for a lot of our salaries. And I'm just thinking that's not an option for this year with the CPI growth the way they are, so. That's why, like, I put into my budget 3%, and I've talked to a number of them that did the same. It's kind of been the standard raise that we've been given over the years, but ultimately, yeah, you're gonna have to take those other factors into consideration as well. I think what we did last year helped out quite a bit in getting us up to be competitive with our neighbors and a lot of the other governments around the state. I think that did help out quite a bit. We appreciate any sort of raise or increase in benefits that we give to them.
What do we do when the county's broke?
Oh, I understand that. You have to walk that line between employee retention and being financial stewards of the county as well. You know, I don't know what a 3% increase across the board on salaries would be, but it's not that significant compared to everything else that we've been spending money on. And it's good for employee morale too, which I think is, you know, your employees are your most important asset.
Okay, I know Becky's got some reports that,
Another thing that you better take into account is the end of March last year, we had 33% surplus cash. The end of March this year, last year we had 59%. This year we have 33%. So that's dropped a lot in 1 year.
about half,
Just about it.
just about in half. Because everybody wants to spend, everybody wants to spend. Where's that money gonna come from? If
Yeah.
there's no growth, there's no CPI change,
Our hands are tied there, yeah. We can't increase our tax revenue at all this year, basically.
So,
If you can't increase your tax revenue, but you increase your salaries, you have
Increase
to
your
realize
expenditures.
that money has to come from something else. So if you want to raise, you're gonna have to give up something else to make that balance. That's, like I said, I know my opinion is not popular, it's not popular with anybody up here, but I also know that for 18 years, I've gotten 3% or more every year. And I also know that in a lot of years when other counties, when CPI was zero, other counties and the state workers did not get raises, and we did. And I just think as employees, we need to remember some of that. And we've taken an insurance increase, I remember even 1 year when it was 25%. And our insurance coverage stayed the same. You have to remember that stuff, that's an increase in your benefits.
1 year we got a 7% increase.
I think the state was what, 3 or 4 years in a row?
With nothing.
Yeah, they went a long time, but now they're paying for it, now they're having to give, I think my wife got 5 or 6% this year. Now they're paying for it, because they can't retain and keep, they can't hire new employees and they can't retain the employees that they have. It's a vicious cycle. You gotta draw the line somewhere, and it should be in the middle, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're gonna have to, in 2-3 years, you're gonna have to come back and play catch up again. It's just the way the world works.
Well, all I can say is you gotta do a lot of thinking between here and Monday. Well, longer than that, but I mean to be thinking about it.
I know what my opinion is, but I'll wait till Monday.
No, it's a tough choice to make, and it'd be a little bit easier if we did have our insurance numbers in front of us. Without that information, it's kind of hard when you're just guessing at it, but if you can get them to us earlier, then we can make our adjustments. I thought it'd be good to kind of get it out there and get an idea of what's gonna happen on Monday, preliminarily anyway.
My opinion is a 1.5%. I don't know what everybody else's opinion is, but otherwise we gotta see what everybody's asking for this year. I mean, we could be broke in a heartbeat. Then what do we do?
We're on our way there.
And if we're already split it in half already in 1 year, we're gonna do the same thing again next year. By the end of next year, we're gonna be broke.
I don't know if you can blame all that on salaries necessarily.
I'm not saying
but-
that it's all on salary,
Yeah,
but, if you increase salary 3%, all your other taxes, or your FICA and your
Oh, everything goes up.
unemployment and everything
Retirement,
else,
yeah.
retirement, that all goes up 3% too, so. And then if they wanna spend money for every little thing that comes up, and everybody wants new vehicles, and where's that gonna come from?
And like I said, you gotta do some thinking between now and Monday.
There's a benefit to having your co-pay stay the same and your deductible stay the same,
oh, I agree,
you
yeah.
know, I mean, so that's
Big
an
deal.
important thing that we need to look at.
Did the mill levy change in the last couple of years
On the levy.
for the county?
Went down in the last.
It was, used to be 4.5, what is it, closer to 3.
3.05 million.
So on the same assessed value, your mill levy is down 25% roughly, right? I look at the salaries and I don't think they're out of line. Who among us would work for $13 an hour? And how can you raise a family on $13 an hour? I would suggest that a 3% salary increase is not unreasonable and probably warranted and competitive. We need to compete with the rest of the world. The other thing is, when we talk about insurance benefits, there's 2 things that I look at, and number 1 is the deductible. If you just change the deductible a little bit, you know, a lot of our people that get this benefit never ever use, you know, that much. It's there for a big event, a catastrophe, that type of thing. But who can't pay an extra $100 or $500 a year in a deductible? And that's a huge thing. And the other thing that we've had long discussions about is the family aspect of that insurance. There are those that are employees only that are covered under that plan, and then you have others where the whole family is covered, and the premium for those individuals is double what it is for the others. So I'm saying if you look at the deductible, change it slightly, and make a change in the family benefit, you may be able to afford this It's not a matter of affording, we have to pay this salary increase, there's nobody gonna work for, I mean, they can go elsewhere and get better jobs. This is a good job, but we want good people here too. So I'm all for the 3% and then look very carefully at the insurance. And like I say, look at those two aspects of it. That's the family benefit and the deductible. You don't have to change it much, just enough to cover it. Take a look at it and see what you think. I don't think it's fair that we sit here and say that we can't afford this or that or the other thing. We've got to run a good county. We want to be proud of what we have. We all want good roads, we want this, we want that, and we gotta pay for it, that's what it is, but we've been able to do it, we can be proud of what we got, and, but why would you wanna ask those that are on the insurance, where they have a single plan, to suffer because somebody else wants a family plan? That's not fair. The insurance benefit for every employee should be the same. And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
You can't ask somebody here to go without it, without a raise, because somebody else is getting an additional benefit. You know what I'm saying? An insurance benefit will cover that raise.
That's why I wish we had the insurance numbers in front of us when we're doing them.
Like you said, you already know exactly what, it ain't gonna be any less than that. You know good and well it's 18%.
Yeah, but I'm saying, look at making some changes and make it fair.
Yep, and that's what we did last year too, we made some changes to keep it reasonable and do it again this year and see, just take that into consideration, I guess.
That blade operator that's got a single family plan insurance should not suffer with a salary and not get a salary increase because somebody else wants a family plan. It's not right. In my opinion.
Well, have all this stuff down, so we'll do this on Monday. That's how I look at it.
I think that was a good discussion to have anyway.
Yeah.
And the last thing kind of here is just about the jail fire escape. Put it on there, you guys got all the information at the last meeting. SDPA, safety benefits recommends replacement of it. And you guys just gotta decide if you're going to or not.
What's wrong with the one we have?
They say it's non-functional. Well, the window up there that it comes out of has padlocks on both sides. And I think, Josh, what you got a quote for was installing an actual door up there, right?
Or in replacement of fire escape from
Yeah.
Mobridge Manufacturing.
Make it, 4 foot wide, was it, or was it even wider than that?
I can't remember. 4 or 5.
So
I
what,
don't remember. Let me see if they got-
who is thinking that the fire escape is inadequate?
The insurance company, we got an opinion from them, yeah.
Well, what do they say about the laminate flooring? What do they say about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Which do you think is a bigger issue? What's gonna burn over there, the steel and the concrete? Or are you gonna get gas from the laminate flooring? Which is the bigger event? That fire escape is secure. Use it. If you need to put a door on, put a door on. Who's expected to climb through a window in a situation like this, where you gotta drag people through that may be handcuffed and so on? Put a door on. But why replace a fire escape that's functional? And leave your laminate flooring and the rest of the things that emit gases that are deadly. So whoever looked at that and said that we, the insurance company or whoever, and said that, well, it's not safe to have that fireplace, that fire escape because it doesn't have a door, and then overlooks the laminate flooring as an inadequate, unqualified inspector, in my opinion. And I would tell him that. End of story.
What do you guys wanna do about it?
I make the motion that we look at it and put in a door and make it functional.
Is that what Mark was gonna do, is try to use majority of what's there, or really, how was he gonna do that?
No, he was gonna reconstruct
Reconstruct the whole thing?
and put the door in, correct door in there so it can be usable. Instead of, because it's a window right now.
Right.
But,
2 years
no,
ago-
it was just suggested to get the recommendation from the insurance, which we did, and that was the report we got. You know, so,
2 years ago, there was 2 lag bolts holding it on. The rest of them had fallen out.
Ryan, you brought up it, you know,
Yeah. Something needs to be done with it. But it's your guys' decision what to do, I guess, so.
But I mean, what is it, just, do you think this needs to be totally rebuilt? I
I'm
mean,
trying to look for the quote here.
No, we still have a motion on yet. That hasn't been seconded, right? Or has been?
How's that?
Has not been seconded.
Okay, here's the quote. The quote was for, well, that was for TW. There's clearances, okay.
Martin, you can-
$15,250.
Yeah.
How much?
$15,250, that's for a 5-foot wide stairway, 5x5 landing, concrete pad, and then putting in a 48-inch heavy-duty door with panic bar enclosure at the top.
And then we still have Commissioner Martin's motion on the floor yet.
got a motion on the floor from Dwayne, I'll need a second on that.
What is the motion?
To look at it, put in a door and make it functional.
Okay, that's
Got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Who's gonna determine what functional is?
asking me.
Somebody. Who is going to determine what functional is?
I don't know who they consulted about, putting in the 5-foot wide stairway and everything, but I think, when we had, Selby Fire Department look at it, they said that they thought that staircase was way too narrow to be able to get people up and down. A firefighter with equipment on, so I know it does need to be wider, I think it is quite narrow the way it is now.
I don't see where it's an emergency thing where we gotta do it right now, put it in the budget for next year.
Yeah.
They got a motion on the floor, I'll second that. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
2-2. Motion failed.
I'd say put it on the budget for next year. We don't have the funding for it now anyway. Put it on the budget, have them put it on the budget for next year. So. it can
Is
be-
that in the form of a motion?
Recommendation.
Recommendation.
Okay.
It's not something that needs to be done tomorrow or next week. There is a secondary fire escape up there that they can use also. They just have to walk over the garage and down the ladder there.
Anything else, Ryan?
Nope, that was it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Well, like Josh is still on the phone.
Can you go to 13?
Go to 13. Motion to approve wage for,
Aubrey Hunting.
I was gonna say it wrong anyhow. I'll need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, you got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
I'll bring up something. We received a request from countywide directory requesting all updated rural county landowner records. We've done it before. They provide us with 20 free plat books for Campbell, Walworth County. And then we can in turn sell them for a profit. And also some of the departments use them. But I have to get approval from you guys to go ahead and send them the information.
What kind of a book?
How long ago, when was the last time we sent it?
It's been a while. I'll get one of them books.
It's the countywide directory.
Where's that?
My newest one is the 15th.
That from the state?
No, it's a company that makes the platforms and sells them.
Oh, okay.
These little books, and then we just send them, like, send them a PDF of who owns what, and then they go ahead and draw up the books
Update their maps and.
yeah, and then we get free ones that we can sell, and we can also then order more to sell if we need
I use it almost every day.
it, so.
And it's basically just because you're releasing information, right, Becky?
Right.
That's why we need approval.
Yeah, need a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
You got a motion on the floor, I need a second.
This is 16.
A second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion passed.
Yeah, they don't do the best job.
Josh, you're up.
They just have great mistakes at it. I agree.
Morning. I emailed reports out from Justin and gave Becky, I CC'd Becky on those also, and
They were printed out at last meeting, you guys took them?
gave her my reports yesterday to add to your pilots.
How's Justin doing?
What's that?
How's Justin doing?
He's doing good. He got released. Fractured rib. As long as you brought that up, Kevin, I'll just touch base on that just briefly. The highway patrol's handling that investigation, so, we had some minor cases with some officers on either option, so, minor cases. So, took care of that just by getting them to some cool air and some ice packs.
Was it bringing him water?
I heard, thank you. It was a warm day out there.
Anybody got any questions about his report?
Scott, if you're ready to go on to the next bullet. And then-
Yep. I got nothing.
Okay, Becky put this on there, but we had talked about this way back when, and it's the transfer of the revenue funds into the building fund, which was, it's put under the courthouse.
Okay, I'll need a motion for it. Got a motion on the floor to transfer that. I need a second. A second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed.
If we do, I'm assuming, and I think we've talked about this before, but I can't recall, Wayne, maybe you, I thought maybe you brought it up. Can we, if we do some things at that fire escape, can that be utilized for that? It can be, okay. I was just wondering.
Anything else, Josh?
No. Thank you.
What are you gonna do in the meantime? It's obvious that vehicle ain't gonna be of use.
Well,
What are you gonna do in the meantime?
I don't know yet, I'm trying to figure some stuff out. I did talk, to the mayor Selby this morning, he's gonna get back to me about the city police vehicle that's sitting there not being used. But other than that, Scott, I don't know, that's the only thing that's come to mind as far as a vehicle to use if it's sitting there. And we do some things for the city of Selby, so, just waiting to hear back. Now, the only thing is if we did agree to something, I don't know how that would work, Becky, to get that under the insurance umbrella to what, while we're using. But
And just curiosity, maybe it means nothing, but how does that work? I mean, would it matter because it says city police? Does something that stupid make a difference?
not really.
Okay.
Law enforcement,
You never know,
law
I guess.
enforcement, all that matters is the uniform that gets out of the car. So,
Okay.
as long as it's identifiable, so. It's a law enforcement vehicle.
The other thing to add on about that accident, just a reminder, do not make any comments with regard to anything you heard or may have heard or know, because we will probably get sued over this, so just to let you know, so don't make any comments with regard to opinions or anything. So just, there's that possibility. And I'm sure people will be asking you things, so you don't want to make a lot of comments. Just FYI.
You're the county information officer.
Well, that's what I'm saying is refer them to me. That's exactly right. Refer them to me. We don't want to have somebody making a comment that they don't know the answer to or making a comment about something they don't know. And then all of a sudden it gets backtracked. Well, this person said this, were they acting on behalf of the county? And we just don't want to even go there. That's why I'm saying this ahead of time is refer them back to me.
And it's normal procedure to
Yeah,
have
to do it
other
that way.
agency, investigate the accident.
And I talked to the highway patrol this morning already, so. Nothing super big to be worried about, just the FYI. I don't wanna make anyone freak out or anything, but always refer them back to the county information person, which is me. And don't say something about the vehicle or anything, just FYI.
Fine by me.
He's telling us about
Yeah,
Old business.
That's
No,
exactly
gossip.
right. It'll all be-
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
It'll all be, quiet concerning that, so. Cause even I got misinformation last night, so it's easy to get misinformation and things, so.
Josh, we know all about that, don't we?
What's that?
Misinformation.
Oh,
It's misinformation goes out right away, and the information I got was incorrect initially, and it's easy to get false information out there or crazy things out there, and you just don't wanna have any type of crazy information get out, because you tell one person, and by the time it gets to the fifth person, it's somebody shot the president, so.
There was UFOs landing out there from what I heard, so.
That's exactly, I mean,
Right
seriously,
into a
it
UFO.
could be, And then the Air Force could come in and investigate this for example.
Okay, we'll go to 14. Anybody got any old business?
Did they get any date set for that culvert yet?
Not yet, we're working on that out of,
It's out of Sioux Falls.
well, in, Commissioner Schilling and I were doing some talking about that and feeling that maybe Sioux Falls is not the best place to do it, so that's what we're working on, is getting it out of Sioux Falls place, so.
Anything else? New business?
I had somebody, well, I've had a couple farmers come up to me and talk to me. They're concerned about the number of coyotes in the county. They was asking if we would be willing to possibly take a look at doing a county-wide bounty on coyotes. I said, well, there's gonna have to be a lot more involved than just us. I think, Game Fish and Parks would have to be more involved than we would.
We already give them money every year for coyote control, I think,
Yeah.
don't we?
Give who?
GP.
Cause they have the state trapper come out, don't they?
Yeah.
And use the airplane sometimes.
$311.60. Like $311.60.
Where there's so many at, I mean, I guess, I'm not seeing that many out working now, where I've been.
A lot of
I don't
nights.
know when the last time I've seen it. I hear some, the pups are starting to howl a little now, but
If
You
you
see a lot
go,
out.
we've never had any trouble in our
if you
place.
go by what you hear, a casket is surrounded.
My house too.
There's,
Yeah.
there's a lot of them out there.
Early in the morning, surrounded.
Jimmy used to,
I used to hunt coyotes every day,
I know,
I am.
Now you-
You did.
15 years.
Now you ran them all to my house, huh?
no, they didn't make it that far. They usually didn't
I haven't
live
heard them
very
for a
long.
while, but
So you would
sometimes
say-
I hear them pretty loud.
You know, like the 2311 or so, if we just had a bounty, and they was saying like a $10 bounty on it. I said, well, then you're gonna have to figure out where you're gonna drop them off, how much of the animal you gotta bring in,
The tail.
and all this other stuff. Game Fish and Parks is gonna have to get involved.
They
I think
could
they
sell
bring them
them
in
more.
Iowa, cuts the bottom lip off.
Actually, that's what they used to do with foxes, they used to break the bottom jaw off.
But, then how are you gonna determine whether they're shot in Walworth County or Campbell County,
It's a
or
huge.
Corson County? That's
And we also would
like-
have to work with the Game Fish and Parks, that's kind of a,
But who would do it?
They could sell them more
No, but I mean,
for,
Anybody could go out and
no, that's not what I mean, who would be the one that's,
who would run the program?
right, I mean,
they would have to
Penny?
have a drop off.
No,
There would have to be a drop off place
that's what
somewhere.
I'm saying.
Hoagies.
We don't want it up here,
Well, we need some more roadkill anyway,
I guess
you ever had coyotes too?
I've never heard anybody complaining about it, I guess.
This is a little
It's the
side,
sheep farmers.
side bit of information. Someone was telling me that a rancher out west found a den of coyotes with the pups. He didn't say how many, but generally 5 to 7. And so he put a camera up. And I'm guessing that in a month's time, those adult coyotes brought 27 fawns into that den,
Really? Wow.
just about one a day.
Well, they haven't cleaned the fawns out down in my area
So
yet.
Game Fish and Parks will be involved somewhere down the line.
I think in Harding and Perkins County, they fly
No, they fly,
regularly over that.
they fly out here too, but his suggestion was if we could put a bounty on it somehow, and pay them $10 a piece, it would get a lot of people out just for something to do, to go shoot them.
But I think I'd have to side with Jimmy on that, how would you even know, if somebody, where in God's name they'd all come from? Is there other counties that the county pays a bounty on?
I don't know, this got brought up here last.
I haven't
month.
heard any since back in the early 70s.
But I mean-
60s, they used to have a bounty on coyotes and magpies.
Gophers,
And,
some,
oh yeah, gophers too, and
But I'm just saying,
seems like eagles.
that's, I mean, somebody, you could,
And eagles too?
I
that
found
could
a
be a
book
lot
on
of money, I
wolves.
mean.
My old Tibbs used
you
to
had
hunt eagles.
people start bringing them from other counties.
Cut the head off and then run a wire up through the beak and take it into the auditor.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
5 cents or whatever.
We're trying to-
it was.
Would it be
Or
worth
into the
But
treasury.
what I'm saying is,
Gophers, they
we're
try to
already,
deal
bring
with
them from Perkins County?
no,
I
but
found
I'm
a
just
book on
saying,
wolves too.
are we really wanting to
Yeah.
spend more money when we know things are tight right now? I
And
mean,
they
for
used to
something
be a
like
lot
that.
of them.
But
They
maybe we
would
could
take
use
hold
part
of
of
the
that
brand and
2311.
shallow and
We have to give that to the state.
take eyes out of
It's a
the family.
requirement.
Bad eye or something.
Yeah, but I mean, let's,
I think the Java Fire Department
let's
has
just,
one every fall.
I'll just use somebody for example. I mean, a guy north of Java, let's just say he calls his relative from the Hosmer area and they bring them all to here. Hell, I mean, at $10 a piece, hell, I don't think that'd be nothing for that person to have 300-400 of them, you know? I'm just saying, it could,
They do something in Java when they do theirs.
Yeah, they have,
They have requirements that
I'm just
eliminates
using that
that.
for an example
Yeah.
where, when you said, would somebody come from Perkins County, I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
could come from
something
Campbell
like,
and
just like that.
Edmonds.
but they said that they would even be donating money into that fund just to get people out there to shoot.
Usually during the winter time, if there's snow,
Mhm.
they get hunted pretty good. Not
In the
many people,
wintertime, but we haven't had,
not many people
I
have.
guarantee you
homes
my
anymore.
snowmobile doesn't have 200 miles on it in 5 years.
And that's a good thing.
Exactly.
But
is it hard?
There's been talk of bounties off and on in many counties for the last 40 years.
But do you think it'd be something that we should get with game fishing parks and ask them, or just leave it up to the game
I
fishing
don't think
parks?
it's gonna go anywhere this snow.
I guess my recommendation to you would be, you talk
I
to
don't think
Game Fish
anybody
and see what they think
that
of it.
wasn't gonna
I
do
tried
it.
calling
would do
Doug
for
this
10
morning,
bucks.
but he didn't answer. so.
I guess I wouldn't, if I was you, I would just talk to them and see once, see what he thinks about it.
No.
More, I thought, I was thinking it was more of a game fishing parks
I would think it
issue
is,
than.
it is their issue, but
Our issue.
Well, you can't do that.
Oh, you can't do that anymore?
No.
I would just think you should talk to them
Here.
and see.
We're worried about everything.
And you can't poison prairie dogs either, because you might get an eagle.
Anybody else have any new business?
I move we adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn, I need a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion passed.
And you